And the TRC method, basically, it's a series of frameworks within frameworks. And our basic framework we teach is called the 3P framework. It's people, product, process. And think of it like a combination lock. If I gave you a combination lock and said, Eric, open the lock, could you open the lock?
I could try a bunch of times.
Well, with a 3-digit combination lock, there's 1,000 variables.
Yeah.
It might take you a while, but you're pretty tenacious. You probably could. Now, what if I gave you the combination?
I could do it a lot faster.
Yeah. And if I told you the combination in order,
I could do it even.
you could open it anytime you want.
Right.
That's what coaching is about. That's what the 3P framework is. If I teach you the process and I teach you the combination, it's always in order. It's always people, then product, and then process.
So this episode made possible by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest on the show for a third time, the restaurant coach, Donald Burns. My man Donald, are you feeling unstoppable today?
I am feeling super unstoppable.
Dude, I'm psyched to be here. Honestly, I think I told you this in the previous recordings that, like, when I first got started and I thought I wanted to start a podcast and do all this stuff, like, you were one of the first names I found in my research. And to know now somebody that I really admired and be like, wow, it'd be cool to be as, successful as Donald Burns, and to be able to collaborate with you now and to be in person with you. This is cool for me, man. So
this is so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. So first had Donald on the show, episode 63. Had him on the show a second time, 265. I would say go check out those episodes, but everything that we cover in those episodes he talks about in his books, and those early episodes were so rough. It's hard for me to listen to him, man. So I say just go check out his books. Everything that's discussed in those episodes he covers. And today we're going to pick up where we left off.
Cool.
What's happened since 2016 when you were on the show last. But before we dive into where you are today and what you got going on, and just a reflection on the industry, let's get that motivational, inspirational, ball rolling with a success quote or mantra. What do you got for us?
So I'll give you my two favorite quotes. And I've built my whole brand, the whole Restaurant Coach brand is built around this quote from Zig Ziglar. It's that you can have everything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want.
Dude.
And then my other one is when I feel like things are getting like overwhelmed. I'm getting too much on my plate, too much going on. I remember a quote from Mario Andretti. If everything seems under control, you're just not going fast enough.
He's consistent, too, because that last quote that you just shared, the Mario Andretti quote, was a quote you used last time.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I love that quote.
And I don't think you knew this, but the first quote, if you help enough other people achieve what they want, is the reason I started this podcast.
Oh, wow.
It was that quote that gave me the confidence to start, because I wanted to open a restaurant. And I heard that quote, and it was just like, if I just make my life about learning and sharing what I'm learning, I can have anything I want.
Exactly.
And that was what I needed to hear to get this thing going. So a great way to get this thing started. Those quotes resonate deeply with me.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. So the last time we had you on the show, since then, a lot has happened since 2016.
A lot has happened.
Published 4 books?
Yeah, I've done 4 books now because I think the last time was just Your Restaurant Sucks, right?
That was 2019, right?
2017 was Your Restaurant Sucks.
Okay.
And then 2019 was Your Restaurant Still Sucks.
Got it.
And then after that, I've already done the third book of, I call it Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy.
Okay.
Your Restaurant Culture Sucks. Wrapped up the trilogy. Kind of felt like it was my Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
And then now I'm moving on to different series, different stuff. It's going to be a little more, things got to hold them up. Oh, yeah. So I got some new books. So, of course, the third book in the series of Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy was Your Restaurant Culture Sucks. Because I think there's a huge problem with culture in restaurants. Oh, yeah. And then my newest book just came out. I think it came out in January of this year, and that's Savage Restaurant Success. Savage Restaurant Success is more about a new coaching program I'm doing. It's kind of like it lays the groundwork for the principles, frameworks for this new coaching program called Warrior Restaurants that I do. And I can kind of, if you want me, I can break it down.
Well, I think what we should do is just go chronologically, because my plan today was to kind of just follow your journey in the books, and then as we're going through chronologically, diving deeper into it.
Oh, yeah. So,
man. And I also, one thing I love about just following you, I have been following you since 2016, you get super vulnerable. I think if somebody has a heart attack, they usually kind of sweep that under the rug. But
yeah, they do. I tell everybody
about it.
Yeah, man. I had a cardiac arrest.
Yeah. Do you want to
died twice?
I know that's a big part of your story.
It is.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, a lot of people think, like, a lot of times you have that kind of life-changing reality moment. Some people might want to take it easy, for me, it was a wake up call that
Well, that's what
I
I
got
wanna
to
get
push up.
into.
I got to push up. I had to push harder because I kind of explain it like this, and I tell this a lot of times when I do speaking on stage. I'll say, "What you think you have time? You don't have time because you never know. I mean, you
Right.
never know when God's going to say, "Hey, that's it,
Game over.
game over, ticket punched, out you go." And so I had a lot of stuff on my plans, and like everybody, like a lot of entrepreneurs, I had a lot of stuff I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden I was dead.
Yeah, like I can only imagine. Like, where were you before that, and how did you see the world differently after?
Well, before that, I thought I had a lot of time. And I was just taking my time doing stuff, just pushing things. Like, I had a normal, I was pretty aggressive about doing stuff. But after the cardiac arrest and after I came back, I really felt like my mission, my calling was to help independent restaurant owners as much as I could. And to do that, I had to push harder, stronger, and I had to come back better. I mean, if you notice, I work out like freaking mad.
Well, that's
man,
what I was thinking
you know?
when and I was like, I know Donald, and you talk about it in your books too, and you're a big advocate for exercise and moving
Self-care.
and wellness and self-care. It's a big part of being successful. And what I was thinking is like, man, you could be taking care of yourself, doing all the right things, and like you can still you never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know. And I had, chef lifestyle
Right.
for 40-something years. I had some blockage.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had like 80% blockage. So I have stents in my heart now. And it was a huge wake-up call. And when I just felt this real push, this real need to start really, really helping more people. And so I dug into that, that third book. I thought, dug into, in fact, in your restaurant culture sucks. The first chapter is dying sucks. It really does. That's the first chapter is dying sucks. It really does.
So when did this event
2018.
18.
Yeah, and then I turned right around and I wrote Your Restaurant Culture Still Sucks. Or Your Restaurant Culture Sucks. I wrote that. And then ever since then, now I'm on this really big writing push.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So the first book really seems like that your approach to that was more like laid out like one. It flowed a little bit more, where you
Yeah.
read it from beginning to end. And the big takeaways for me in that book. Well, first, what was the big message? Let me ask you, what was the big message you wanted to deliver with that?
So the first book, Your Restaurant Sucks, was just like a wake-up call. And I'll get text messages all the time, and people text me like, "How dare you, man? My restaurant sucks. You don't even know me." And I was like, okay, let's just be honest. If you're upset about the title of a book, then your restaurant might suck.
I do know you.
Yeah, your restaurant might suck.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a wake-up call. And the story behind the book came from a client. So originally, I ever tell you the story?
No.
The original title of the book?
I haven't had you on since you.
Oh my God! The original title of the book was going to be Restaurant Unleashed. I thought that was so cool. I was like, I'm going to do this book, Restaurant Unleashed, right? And so I hired a writing coach because I didn't know how to write. So I hired a writing coach named Doug Crow. Fantastic writing coach. And so, we started working out some stuff, and he says, let's talk about the title. And I'm like, what? I go, Restaurant Unleashed. I'm like, Restaurant Unleashed. And he's like, I don't like it. It's too generic.
What did it mean to you, though?
To me, I thought just like, I thought
Freedom.
people were like, freedom. Like people are chained to their restaurant, handcuffed to their restaurant. So I thought Unleashed was like, break free from your restaurant like thing. And he says, all right, he goes, tell me some of his stories, or tell me about some of your coaching clients. And I told him this story about this guy I was coaching for years and years, right? I was coaching this guy for just about a year. And every time we got in a call, all he did, and this is actually, I was at his restaurant. I was doing a site visit. This is like 2016, all right? I'm at his restaurant, and we're sitting at a 4-top table, and he's just venting about how everything sucks. Oh, my cooks suck, my dishwashers suck, my servers suck, my managers suck, my guests suck, my location sucks, my town sucks, everybody sucks. And just very calmly, I just kind of casually said, I didn't even think about it, it just kind of came out. I said, if your restaurant sucks, it's because you suck running it. And he was a big guy. I mean, you and I are pretty big guys. This guy was like probably 6'7", probably like 280, 290, big, huge guy, like football player guy. He grabbed a hold of that 4-top with his hands, and the table started shaking, and he started like coming up over the table, and I'm sitting on the other side of the 4-top saying, "Here it comes, shit, all right."
Does he know I'm a 6th-degree black belt?
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, he's gonna hit me, he's gonna punch me. And he got about halfway up over the table, and then he got this look on his face. He sat back down in his chair. He sat back in his chair. He took a deep breath. He goes, "You're right. It's all my fault." And at first, inside my head, I'm like, oh, shit, okay, I'm good. And then it's like, all right, let's get to work. And we actually And I said, well, what do you want? Where do you see your, if you tell me where you're at. So we always talk about this pit. You're in this pit. You're in this situation that you created. What is the possibility? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be?
Vision.
Like, your vision. Where do you want to be? And he says, I would love to be free from having to be here day to day. I would love to be I always want to live in Miami, have a condo on the beach, and run my restaurants. He had a couple restaurants, run my restaurants remotely. I said, well, let's make a plan to make that happen. And we actually did. And we worked on it for about a year and finally got to the point where he actually was working remotely with his team from Miami, from his condo. And that was like the whole thing. And that's why the whole book is like, Your Restaurant Sucks came from that conversation, that hard conversation that, people just like, a lot of times when they hire a coach or a consultant, they're looking for like a yes person. Oh, yeah. You're doing good. And
Well, I love the title, honestly. I think in our second interview together, 265, I think I said the biggest lesson I learned is that behind every great restaurant is a great person.
Yes.
So and what I was going to say before I set you up is that the biggest takeaway for me is that behind every great restaurant is a great person. If your restaurant isn't doing good, it doesn't start on working on your restaurant. It starts on working on you.
Exactly.
And that's why in my coaching, if I was going to start a coaching program, which I backpedaled out of, we had 4 Ps. We're going to talk about process. We're going to talk about people, i.e. culture. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about promotion, i.e. marketing. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about personal growth. Yep. And I think that's where a lot of other consultants or other experts go wrong is they focus on the business.
Right.
And the thing is, you can show somebody how to do it, but do they have discipline?
Yeah.
Do they have the energy to show up?
Yes.
Do they have respect from other people?
Exactly.
And if you don't have the discipline, the habits, the respect, you will never be successful in the industry.
No, perfect. No, it's a perfect example. And on my first book, I got one bad review on Your Restaurant Sucks. And the guy wrote this. He says, and I remember the review. He says, it's more of a personal development book. I was looking for more of a how to run a restaurant book. And I was like, well, that was my whole purpose. It's not how to run a restaurant. It's how to run you, which actually runs a restaurant. So in my systems, I teach a program. It's called, and all my coaching programs use what's known as the TRC method.
Yeah.
And the TRC method, basically, it's a series of frameworks within frameworks. And our basic framework we teach is called the 3P framework. It's people, product, process. And think of it like a combination lock. If I gave you a combination lock and said, Eric, open the lock, could you open the lock?
I could try a bunch of times.
Well, with a 3-digit combination lock, there's 1,000 variables. Yeah. It might take you a while, but you're pretty tenacious. You probably could. Now, what if I gave you the combination?
I could do it a lot faster.
Yeah. And if I told you the combination in order,
I could do it even.
You could open it anytime you want.
Right.
That's what coaching is about. That's what the 3P framework is. If I teach you the process and I teach you the combination, it's always in order. It's always people, then product, and then process.
So is product the marketing?
So in each side of each frame, each combination, there's another series of combinations. So in the people part, there's another 3-digit lock, right? So every lock has a 3-digit lock. So in the people part, it's mindset, your mindset, right? It's culture, and then it's hiring, getting the right people on the team. In the product part, it's always food cost, then marketing, or then menu design, and then marketing.
Well, yeah, I think marketing and menu design are going to go hand in hand.
Yeah, well,
four-walls marketing.
Here's where most people go wrong, is that they start the marketing thing. But why would you market if your menu's not profitable?
Yeah, why would you send business to a broken system?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But most people think that's going to fix their restaurant.
Yeah.
And then in the process part, it's always systems, then strategy, and then profitability. But when people see the 3P framework, they look at the shiny objects. I want the profitability. I want the marketing. I want the hiring. I need to be at better people.
They focus the energy out.
Yes.
And so it's you. Then it's, what am I already doing in my business? How can I do it better? Then it's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've heard me say this all the time. All business problems are people problems.
Growth is always inside out.
It's always inside out.
Yeah.
It never starts on the outside.
Right.
It's like when you talk about if someone doesn't have respect, doesn't have respect. Where does respect start? Self-respect. Respecting yourself, taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's where it all starts.
Yeah, I'm 38 this year. I'm not an old man yet.
Oh my God. You know how old I am?
I wouldn't say a day over 40.
Are you serious?
No, I'm definitely not serious.
Come on.
I just don't want to guess. I know better. It's a trap.
It's a trap. I'm 59.
You look great, man.
I'm 59, dude.
Yeah, you look great.
But I've made a commitment to, and one of the things I'm really big on is anybody who's a leader has to lead. If I'm going to coach restaurant owners about taking care of yourself, mindset, health, self-care, meditation, eating nutritious foods, taking supplements, stuff like that. I have to I have to do it myself.
Right.
Yeah, because no one's going to take advice from me if I look like I'm 300 pounds out of shape. Man, you should go work out, dude.
Well, it's true. It's true. And who are you to tell other people what to do if you're not doing it yourself? And frankly speaking, that's a big reason why I don't want to be a restaurant coach or a consultant because I'm constantly working on myself. Like I've come a long way. I make a living talking I make a living talking to really interesting people. I get to travel the world and do all this cool stuff. I love my lifestyle, but I feel like I'm nowhere near where I want to be until I start doing it. Like I'm in the learning phase right now. So like I hear what you're saying.
So the first book was more of just a wake up call. Just a general is like, hey, wake up. Your restaurant sucks because you suck running it. And if you're okay with it, if you can accept that hard reality, the very first quote in my first book is the truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off.
Yeah. The second big takeaway. Wait, did you?
Go ahead.
Are you? Do you want to continue that train of thought, or did I cut you short?
No, go ahead.
So the second big takeaway from me in that book is that you can't do it alone.
No, you can't.
And I love it because that was like not just in that book, but in my life, in all my lessons and talking to all these restaurateurs. Like, you have to work on you, but you will never be able to do it all.
That's right.
Whether it's just a bandwidth issue or your skill set issue. Like, we're not supposed to be freaks of nature that can do or that are good at everything. Yep. So if you really want to be, and I love this because you used the word unstoppable in the book. If you want to be unstoppable, it comes from knowing your lane, staying in it, collaborating with others, and communicating with them, and going to the same place together.
Yeah, so like in the TRC method, in that first part, the people part, the mindset stuff, we also have them do assessments, behavioral assessments, because I want to know what your strengths are, what your natural strengths are. What are you good at? What do you like? How do you communicate? How do you handle stress? How do you like to work? If I know those things, I can kind of guide you around where you need to focus on in your lane. And then we actually have exercises later that's called swim lane exercises, which put people in the right lanes. And then you just tell people, like, just stay in your lane. Don't. Yeah. So many restaurant owners want to, like, drift into other people's lanes.
I mean, that's where self-awareness comes in, right?
It's huge.
It's in just, like, learning, like, self-awareness and delegation and trust. Like, trusting. You have to give that trust to do your job and report back to me, and I'm going to focus on what I do. Yeah,
and I have a quote I say all the time. Awareness precedes choice. Choice precedes change. You have to be aware of it first before you can make a choice. And when you make a choice, now you have opportunity to change things.
Right. We have a lot of books to cover today, so I could keep on talking about Your Restaurant Sucks, but we should talk a little bit about Your Restaurant Still Sucks.
Restaurant Still Sucks was like, and it starts off the second book, Your Restaurant Still Sucks, as I listen. You're reading this book, which means you thought you read the first book and you applied it. But here's the truth. You didn't. You read the first book, you read it, it's like, oh, some really cool stuff in here, but you didn't apply anything. So I'm going to tell you that your restaurant's still going to suck until you actually pick up the tools and actually apply them. Tools are just potential. I use this analogy all the time. A hammer on the table is just potential. It's not until I pick that hammer up and actually apply it. Now, I can take that hammer, I can put a nail on the wall, I can hang a picture of my loved ones up, great outcome.
Yeah.
Take that same hammer, flip it around, hit someone in the head, go to jail for a very long time.
Yeah.
Same tool, different application, different outcome. So many restaurant owners are taking that same damn tool and they're just using it the wrong way, or they don't have enough tools in their toolkit. And there's a great Abraham Maslow quote that says, if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail.
Yeah.
And the problem with restaurant owners, they beat the crap out of that thing. They hammer the crap out of that problem with that hammer they have, and then they just beat their heads against the wall. How come I can't get the restaurant I want? It's because you're not applying different tools. So
we think the same way. I say that you can have a hammer, but unless you swing it, it's not going to do anything.
Ain't going to do shit. Yeah. Hammer by itself doesn't do shit.
Yeah.
So the second book was more about, listen, let's get really serious and let's give you some more tools. Because I always feel my job as a coach is to give you tools to put in your toolbox. And my job is to give you lots of different options. Like some tools I give my clients, it might work for their restaurant because all restaurants are a little different, right? So some tools work for them. And when they find it, I say, if you find a tool you like and you want to use this tool, then put it in your toolkit and use it on a consistent basis. If it doesn't work for you, don't worry about it because you're not going to use it anyway. It's just going to sit on the shelf. It's like that fancy kind of thing you bought that you never play with. And they're like, oh, it kind of looks cool. My friends come over, oh, look what I bought. It's really neat. But it's not going to work. So my job in all my books and in my coaching programs is to give you lots of different options. if I give you options, you're going to find something that resonates with you, something that clicks with you, and you're going to pick that tool up, and then you're going to own it. And when you own it, then you're going to start seeing the change you want. So Your Restaurant Still Sucks was a continuation about here's more tools. So you read the first book. You probably got one or two tools out of it. Well, here's more tools to help you really start pushing that forward.
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of Ari Weinzweig's first book, A Lapsed Anarchist's Approach to Building a Great Business. That first book was basically in essay form, just like, so the first one flowed, like your first book, Your Restaurant Sucks. You could tell that it was written with intention to flow. The second one was like essay on how to work on your business. And that's, it's a very much, if you liked Zingerman's How to Build a Great Business, then you'll love Your Restaurant Still Sucks, because that's how it's written, where you can open it up anywhere and have takeaways. So it's more like, so first book, mindset, second book, tools is what I'm hearing from you.
And then the third book, Your Restaurant Culture Sucks, was all about the real root of the problem.
So I gotta be honest, man. I didn't get into the third book because
I brought you a copy.
Thank you so much. I hope they're signed. If they're not, they better be signed.
Of course they're signed. Would I show up without signed books, Eric?
Dude, I have a great collection of restaurant books.
You probably have a huge collection.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I might have the biggest restaurant book signed collection out there.
You probably do, actually.
You know, I should probably put that like in the Smithsonian.
Smithsonian, yeah. Of course I signed.
You're the man, dude. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, I have to interrupt today's episode to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro are taking their relationship to the next level. CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, Fred Langley, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your questions. Here's the thing, I don't want to be a coach, I don't want to be a consultant, but I know the best in the industry, and Fred Langley is the best. He has consistently taken his clients and increased their profit by 10%, and he can help you do the same thing. All you gotta do is click the link below and join a live session in Facebook. I lost my train of thought. So I think between the first book and the second book, it's like 18 hours of audio.
Yeah, it's huge. So the first book's like 8 hours. The second book's 12 hours.
Yeah.
The third book's 11 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't write small books. I have a beef, so I'm gonna catch some shit from this.
Let it fly.
I have a beef with some of these guys who write this 80 to 150 page book and they call it a fucking book. It ain't a book.
It's a chapter.
Yeah, it's a chapter.
Yeah.
And my books are usually over 300 pages.
Yeah.
My first book's my smallest book.
I used to do a lot of walking, and that's when I would do a lot of my audiobooks, running, I call it walking because I do a little bit of running, but it's mostly walking.
It's me. I'm not a runner, man. That's why I learned how to do martial arts. I couldn't run.
Yeah.
They'd catch me and kick my ass. So.
I don't run. I stand and fight, too.
That's it. That's it.
But I'm riding my bike a lot now, and it's hard to listen because the wind, because you're going so fast. So I wasn't able to get through all the books, but I did. I re-listened to Your Restaurant Sucks, and the first time was like 4 years ago. So I was like, I need to listen to that again. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, what the hell could be in Your Restaurant Culture Sucks that wasn't in the first two books? Because you cover a lot of culture in Your Restaurant Still Sucks. And in the original. So like what? I dig into the elements of culture. So I actually started exposing people here. So Your Restaurant Culture Sucks starts breaking down the TRC method. TRC, what is that? The restaurant coach?
Restaurant coach, yeah. The TRC is the restaurant coach method. That's the frameworks I teach.
Got it.
So I started breaking down that people, product, process roadmap for people.
When did you write this?
This one? I wrote this one.
No, not the actual book, but when did you write the framework?
Oh, the framework I've been using for years. I've just been refining it over the last 14 years.
Okay. So the framework was refined by the time you wrote Your Restaurant Sucks and Your Restaurant Sucks.
Yeah, the framework actually came to me. I got introduced to this 3P framework when I had my first restaurant because I was struggling. My first restaurant was, I was on the verge of going under, man. I was out of shape.
What year was this?
Oh, God, 1995.
Okay.
1995, I opened my first restaurant. And, like a lot of people, I had experience. I had 15 years experience. I opened my first restaurant.
I was 10 years old.
I was 1995. I opened my first restaurant. I was 30.
Okay.
And at that time, I had worked in restaurants with my dad starting at 15. So I had, 15 years experience in the restaurant business. I thought, and I'd worked in Santa Fe, worked with some famous chefs, Mark Miller from Coyote Cafe, worked with some very, very prestigious chefs. So I thought, and I've been to some chefs at some very, very famous places, won a lot of awards, got mentioned up in a lot of travel magazines. So I'm thinking, like, open a restaurant. Shit, this is fucking easy, right? And I knew how to run a restaurant.
You had all this experience.
I knew how to run a restaurant. I did not know how to build a profitable brand.
Right.
So when I opened the restaurant, I thought like everyone does. As soon as you open the door, everyone's going to just flood the place. There'll be a line at the door. I'm different. I'm special. I'm unique. My food's amazing. I'm going to have an armor truck. I'm already like getting on Wells Fargo, have the truck come to pick up the bags of cash. And it did not happen like that. And I was like, what the hell? And then like a lot of restaurant owners, I did what everyone else does. I didn't have a lot of tools in my toolbox. I had that fucking hammer, and I took that hammer, and I just beat that sucker. And how do we do that as owners?
Over the heads of the employees, probably?
Yeah, that, and also we just put more hours in.
Yeah.
We think I can outwork the problem.
Yeah.
There's some problems you just can't outwork.
Yeah.
And then about 6 months in, that's when, like I said, the nightmare started. Waking up at 2 a.m. Oh, shit. Payroll's due. Oh, my God. Oh, a sales text. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I gave that check to the vendor. I hope it's a busy weekend so I can cover the bills on Monday. And I always say, if you have that kind of mindset where you hope it's a busy weekend to pay the bills, you need to change your mindset, man. It was just sucking me down. And then I was like a lot of people, and I'm honest about this, I started sedating, started like drinking. And then it starts with the drinks at night. It's like, I just need a couple drinks to unwind. I'm a little stressed. Have a couple more drinks. And then it's like I'm dragging ass. And then I find out.
How many years are you in with your restaurant at this point?
Well, almost one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm starting to drink. I'm starting to pop pills. I'm like, I'm taking Adderall to stay awake in the daytime. And I'm abusing Adderall, and then I'm taking Xanax to come down at night so I can go to sleep. And it's just a vicious cycle.
It's a roller coaster, man.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle I got. And then my weight started. I ballooned up to like 280 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, just totally out of shape. Started neglecting my family. My marriage was crashing. But, like a lot of people, I had this broken mindset that if I fix the business, I'll be a hero and everyone will come around. And they'll realize, all right. He's got it. And it wasn't getting better. And I was, alienating myself with my daughter. Still have a damaged relationship with her to this day. 27 years later, I'm still trying to repair this relationship from my neglect as a father.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, and this is a message to everybody, like, people change over time, and I know a lot of people who won't talk to their parents, and they're making an effort today.
Yeah.
And I know they might have hurt you in the past, but like, people have regret. They have hindsight's always 20/20.
Oh no,
I'm fortunate enough to love both my parents, so I can't really relate.
No.
But I would hope more people would be willing to forgive their parents if they're trying to put the effort into that.
Yep.
Anyway, just a little public announcement.
Yeah. So then about 8 months in, I had a regular at my restaurant. He was a very, very successful businessman. He owned a company that made fire trucks. And I had an open kitchen, small little place, 50 seats, open kitchen. He comes up, he goes, hey, you got some time to talk? And, look around, there's no one in the dining room. Yeah, sure. So I sat down, and he's like, can I be honest with you? And I said, yeah, sure, please. He goes, I don't think you're going to be open in 6 months.
Your restaurant sucks.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. He's like, I don't think you're going to be open in 6 months. I'm like, and of course, you try to play it. We're just a little under the radar. He goes, down the last thing you want to be as a restaurant is under the radar. Right. I was like, shit, he's right. And then he goes, can I give you some more advice? I'm like, might as well. You already got me one. Okay. He says, man, the food is amazing here. You're a super talented chef. And the service team, you train the service is impeccable. But it says you do not know how to run a business.
What were you missing at this point?
I was missing the business mindset. I was missing the thing. I was working in my business, not working on my business. But I was so stuck. I always describe it like being in quicksand.
Yeah.
And when you're in quicksand, the problem, like I always say, like when people get thrown in quicksand, they want to fight. What happens when you fight when you're in quicksand? You sink faster and faster and faster.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not working harder. You can't outwork some problems. So he says, hey, listen. He goes, I was in a very similar situation. He said, when I started my company, I was in a very, very similar situation. I thought my ego, my pride was letting me and I was just figured I could outfigure it. Now, he's in the fire truck business. Relationships are very big. He just thought if he had a superior product, people would want to buy his shit. But with fire trucks, it's a lot about contracts. And contracts, especially government contracts. Relationships. Yeah. And he was very, very stiff, very, very tough. And didn't realize that's what he needed. So he said he had a business mentor who showed him this. And he said, let me help you out. And he took a pen, he grabbed one of the Bev napkins on the table. I have this Bev napkin in my office to this day, 27 years later. He wrote on this Bev napkin, he wrote, people, product, process. And then he says, "This is the roadmap." And I'm thinking to myself, it can't be that fucking easy. And he goes, "I know you're thinking it can't be that easy. Is this guy reading my mind?" Shit, you know.
Well, can I take a stab at that before
yeah.
we get into it? So in my mind, the people, the relationship. You
Yeah.
need the relationships first. Then you need to add value to that person. You need to deliver a product where they're adding value. But first, you need the relationship.
Right.
But if you have a good product, they'll keep coming back.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And then process is okay. Now that I figured out the formula, I can't be the one stuck in doing this all the time. I need to be able to scale it and remove and create
Yes.
layers between it and myself and it.
Right. And process to me is also protection.
Okay.
All right, so you got the people part down, right? And then, so I took his 3P framework, and he worked with me for a year, and it actually helped me turn my restaurant around. So it got to the point where my marriage got better. I actually had the opportunity to open a second restaurant because things were coming around, stuff like that. Started working on my relationship with my daughter, and it really this 3P framework he gave me, and it evolved. So I took that 3P framework and I expanded it out into that TRC method, and that's where I figured out how does this thing work for restaurants specifically. So again, the people part, it's all about mindset, your strengths. What are you good at? What do you suck at? Right? What do we need to delegate, get off your plate? And then the culture piece was the biggest thing. We always talk about, in the culture part, we talk about the triad. Triad's your mission, your core values, and your vision. If you don't know who you are, you don't know what you stand for, how in the hell is your team ever going to follow you?
Wait, was that triad in the process?
Yeah, the triad's in the people part.
Okay.
It's under culture.
Got it.
Yeah, so remember,
People, products.
it's people, product, process. In the people part, it's mindset, culture, and hiring.
Well, that's what I would have thought, but I think I just misheard you.
Yeah, so it's mindset, your mindset.
Right.
All right, your limiting beliefs too. I'll tell you right now, 80% of my coaching I do is usually on mindset and limiting beliefs.
Right.
How many times have you heard a restaurant owner say, "Oh man, these kids today don't want to work.
Yeah,
These kids
and
are
that's a belief.
entitled."
So
it's a belief system.
So your brain, your frontal lobe goes, okay, I'm clocking out now because there's no answer, there's no solution. Whereas if you say they can change or they are out there,
Yeah,
then
they
you
are
start
out there.
looking.
I just
for
gotta
them.
find them.
Yeah.
And I had a restaurant owner one time. I asked him, and it was just a general question, like, how many people you got working with you? Like, how many people are working with you on your team? Like, I was at, how many people you got in staff? He goes, 50%. I go, ooh, that's a mindset right there. About 50% are working with me. The other half are working against me. I'm like,
right.
oh my God, that's a huge. Like, a lot of times when you're coaching, you're hearing the words they say, because the words they say tell you a lot what's going on behind the
Right.
scenes. So yeah, his mindset was all screwed up. I'll tell you, 80% of your restaurant problems, anybody's restaurant problems, I'll tell you right now, it's in the people part.
Right.
20% is in product and process. And here's the reason this 3P framework works so well. So it's people, product, process. People feeds process, and process feeds people. So imagine I got your 3Ps, right? And I draw an arrow.
Feed, process, and process. Feed.
Yeah, so I got an arrow from people to process. This is what my mentor wrote. And then he took an arrow from process to people. He goes, people feeds process, process feeds people. I'll give you a great example of that. Every month someone will call me and say, "Donald, I'm frustrated." I'll say, "Why are you frustrated?" "My team doesn't follow the checklist." Ever heard that before?
Yep.
I'll say, "Well, what's wrong with the checklist?" And they'll go, nothing. You gave me the checklist." All right, so the checklist is good.
Is there a checklist checker?
It goes back to the people part.
Yeah.
You don't have the right culture. You don't have the right core values. They haven't been trained properly. They don't know why it's important, or you might have the wrong person on the team.
Right.
And every month I'll get someone calls me and says, "I'm frustrated." I'll say, "Why are you frustrated?" They'll say, "Well, I went home to walk the dogs this afternoon. I come back and all these kids are standing around on their phone, on TikTok, on Snapchat, chatting their friends. They're not doing any deep cleaning, not doing any side work." I'll say, "Do they have processes in place? Do they have like time checklists? 11 o'clock to this, 12 o'clock to this, 1 o'clock to this?" No, but they should know what to do. They don't know what to do.
Yeah. And that's our job. I mean, I think one way I like to look at it is that if you are a restaurant owner, and this is really my mission with Restaurant Unstoppable, and why my mission statement is to change the world.
Yeah.
Through inspiring, empowering, and transforming the restaurant industry. Because your job, don't open any business, don't open a restaurant until you're ready to transform employees. Because your job is to lift them up, to show them what the job done right looks like, to give them values, to give them the skills they need to go kick the fuck out of life they're on. Like your job, you literally are, you're not in the business of food. You're not in the business of experiences.
Nope.
I mean, you kind of are both in the experience.
Yeah, kind of.
But really, it's the people who 10X it who realize that they're in the business of people and transforming people.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, then they're going to go, it ripples out, man.
It does.
And it's powerful.
Yeah.
Sorry to
Yeah,
go on
you're
my
doing
little
great.
tear.
No,
right
you're doing
there.
great. No, it's perfect. Like my mission for the Restaurant Coach brand is build your brand, strengthen your team, increase your profits.
Yeah.
Straightforward. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. So there was some things we kind of skipped over this, and one thing I really enjoy about you, I think we have the same passion of just like the psychology of business and really getting into that. And that's something. Am I cutting you short?
No,
what you
that's
were shooting
perfect.
for? You share some really great upselling psychology tricks and menu engineering psychology tricks.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'm giving away the book by having you dive into some
No,
of those
no, no.
things. But can you give us maybe I don't know, pick a number, like 5 tricks on how to
Okay, there's a couple. I call them menu Jedi mind tricks.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a couple of menu Jedi mind tricks.
how many are there?
Well, there's actually about a dozen, but I have like my 4 top favorite ones.
We'll leave some meat on the bone for the book.
There's my 4 top favorite ones. So so here's an easy one. An easy one, and unfortunately, like if you're listening to the podcast, it's really hard to see it, but I call it the 1-point font change. So let's say I have a column of entrees. So I might find like my most profitable item on that list. And let's say I have a brown sugar cured beef tenderloin. And so I have that brown sugar beef tenderloin. All the fonts for the headers are 12 points. I take that one and I change it 1 point bigger, just 13. It's not huge. It's not a huge change. It's not 2 points bigger, which
Subtle.
obviously stands out. But your brain is wired
Yeah.
to notice subtles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Juxtaposition.
Yeah, it is, definitely. And so that's a huge one, the 1 point font change. But you only do it in if you do it too much, you overplay it, it loses its effectiveness.
Yeah.
That, and also I love the bold
I was
word
going to say,
too.
you mentioned that
The
too.
bold word is one of my favorite ones. It's the easiest one to do too. Take the word let's see, cornmeal dusted calamari, and just bold the word out, calamari. Duck tacos, highlight duck. Highlight the word that people go to, because people don't read menus, they scan menus.
Yeah.
And if I make it easier for them to scan it and find the thing they want, it's gonna change everything.
Especially your
around.
all-stars, the
Oh, yeah.
things that are cost the least to
Yeah.
make and have the best, margin, So if you can just drive traffic to those things.
Yeah.
So is that 1 or 2 items? The
One's
one
a
font-
1 point font change is 1.
Okay.
The bold word's number 2. Number 3 is change symbols.
I'm gonna call that 1.
You can call that 1?
Yeah, because I'm getting greedy. I'm gonna make you share 5.
Oh my God.
Those are too close. Okay, that's 1. What's 2?
All right, 1. The second one is semantic salience.
Okay.
All right, semantic salience is that we have a psychological association with symbols,
Yeah.
right? And you've heard this one too. Cornell University said if you take the dollar signs off, people spend 8% more
Yep.
just by taking the dollar signs off, right? That's an easy one. Another one I do is like most restaurants, they love, like if you look at this menu that they gave us, right? Here, let me see. I'm gonna. Now this is a fantastic restaurant, so I don't want to bash them too bad. But if you read their menu, they have.
We should probably give them a shout out real quick.
Yeah, so we are hanging out at the Mission. The Mission is probably one of my favorite restaurants. They have a restaurant group actually. They have quite a few restaurants in Arizona, in Phoenix area.
Beautiful restaurant.
Beautiful restaurant. They have 2 Mission locations. It's one up here. We're in the Scottsdale one. It's a beautiful. I mean, the bar. If you see that bar, look at that huge cross on the bar.
Well, there's the bar that's downstairs.
Downstairs, and we have this one up
the
here.
one that's behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful. Right now, if I was going to give them,
Thank you so much for letting
thank you
us use
so
your
much
space.
having
Now-
use of your
now Bendo.
space. Now I'm gonna dog out your menu. So, the number one thing is that you see on the menu they have dollar signs.
Yeah.
Take the dollar signs off. Number 2, they have the price in the wrong position.
So where's the price? Just in case.
So it's right after the title.
Got it.
So they have like grilled street corn, $, $10.
Yeah.
Right. So I always tell people you don't want to put the price right after the title.
Yeah.
Because again, people scan menus, and here's the thing you gotta remember:
They scan the price.
everyone has a budget.
Yeah. Me personally, that's the first thing. I'm always on a budget.
A lot of people are on budgets.
The best thing about this camper that I'm living in is that it has a refrigerator, and I get fed well when I'm on the road. So like I eat a little bit, then I say I'm gonna take this with me, and I just constantly have a fresh supply.
There
of
you
food.
go. There you go.
It's great. Thank you for all the support.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone who's feeding me.
All the food. Everyone's feeding Eric. Thank you
My
for feeding Eric.
refrigerator's happy. Very happy.
Yeah, yes. So, putting the price right after that stops people because they don't really even read into the descriptions. Because right now I have and this goes back to what you call price juxtaposition.
Yeah.
When I see street corn $10,
Corn $10.
that's what I have to think right there. I'm thinking to myself, does that sound right? Right? And so I have to have a price juxtaposition. Now, if I've paid more than that in the past, you might think that's a deal. Shit, I remember last time I was in New York City, I paid $20 for corn. You might think, oh, $10 a deal. But if you don't have paid $10, you might think, oh, shit, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Right. Same thing. I mean, their tacos, they have they have street tacos, and like the tacos, like $18, $16, $20. And if you're not used to that, you might be thinking like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And like anybody who's been out on a date before and you've been on a budget and you let the woman order and then you waited and then like after she orders, she's like, I'll have the Caesar salad. It's like, all right, what's she getting? She's having the bone-in New York.
What did she leave me with?
Yeah, what I got left here?
Is there an option with just sides?
Exactly.
Where's your sides?
Can I just get a side salad and a side of dressing, please?
Side of broccoli, please.
Yeah, side of broccoli, please.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, don't put the price right after the title. Put the price after the description.
Yeah.
So you got to think about, we look at menus different than how we read and process menus. So when I'm processing a menu, I'm looking at like tostadas, $14.50. Holy shit, right? And then they have the ingredients underneath, like chicken thighs, comma, black beans, comma, ham hock, comma, cojita, comma. They got ricotta. They got crispy handmade corn tortillas, right? I tell people, especially if your prices are a little bit high, take the commas out, put in plus signs.
Yep.
It's perceived value.
Adds
value.
This, plus that.
Yeah.
Plus
So now, remember, we don't read menus the same way we process information. So like, let's just look at
where did you learn this stuff?
This is just trial and error. And I've read a lot of books on psychology.
Yeah.
I read books like somatic salience, stuff like that. There's tons of books at Cornell University has tons of stuff.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I was going to follow up this question.
Yeah.
So where are we now? So we have I made you combine the
Yeah, you made me
bolds
combine
and the font size.
the font size
We're
and the
talking
bold word.
about, this is
Semantic salience, which is
what we're talking
symbols.
about now. Symbols. And what are we
Right.
talking about now? The price?
Price should move.
Okay.
All right, you put the price at the end. So let's just say this one for instance. So they have a roasted corn gordita, right? It's $12.50. So if I was to rewrite this menu, I would write it like this. It would be roasted corn gordita, and it would say roasted corn plus squash plus zucchini plus mushrooms plus huela coche crema, $12.50. And that's the way you process it. So a lot of people think, if I put plus signs in there, it's going to look stupid. But you don't understand, the way you read it and the way your brain processes it is like, yeah, I get
That's a lot
roasted
of stuff
corn
for
plus,
$12.50.
I know, now it looks like a deal.
Yeah.
I had this, actually, I did this first at a pizza place. So a pizza place, years ago, I started like researching some psychology about menu design, and I had a pizza place, and the guy was getting really frustrated because he was like a little more high-end, artisan kind of pizza place. He had this pepperoni pizza, like I think at the time was like $15. And he said people would come in, see $15, and then walk out. And they said, I don't see why they're walking out. We use San Marzano tomatoes. We use this artisan kind of pepperoni from this butcher in town, third-generation butcher. And I said, all I see up on your menu is just pepperoni pizza, $15. You don't tell me why it's different. If you don't tell me why it's different, I don't have any juxtaposition to understand why I should pay $15. Right.
Yeah.
So we changed it. We put on there, handcrafted San Marzano tomatoes, handcrafted artisan. We used the guy's name. It was a local butcher. We used his name, pepperoni. And then we put $15. Start selling pepperoni pizzas like crazy.
Yeah.
Because now you tell me why you're different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that 4 or 5?
That's 4.
You said you were gonna give 4. So give me one more off the menu.
One more. All right. And this is gonna kind of go with menu engineering.
So that was a little play on words. It's one more on menus. That's
on the menu. Off the menu. One more that's off the menu. I'll give you an example. I had a coaching call this morning with a client, and I got him, and we changed some stuff. Just number one thing we did, we changed the price positioning because he had the price in the wrong spot. We changed the dollar signs, all right? And then after that, menu engineering is. Menu engineering is when you run a stratification. You take your
4 quadrants.
Yeah, 4 quadrants. Stars, puzzles, workhorses, and dogs.
Yep.
Right? Stars are profitable and popular. Your puzzles are, the puzzles are great, or they're also called challenges. Puzzles are profitable, they're just not popular
yet.
yet.
Potential.
Yeah, they have potential. And then your workhorses or your plow horses, they're popular already, but they just don't make a lot of money.
They keep people happy.
All right. So I always tell people, like, in a column, you have what's known as recency effect. So in recency effect, in columns, things at the top of the column and the bottom of the column tend to sell the best. So I said, that's where you put your challenges, your puzzles, because I want to push them. Because when they look at, so a lot of people, again, we scan menus, don't read menus. So when I was looking at this guy's column, he has ramen, and he had like 8 different ramens. I said, all right, we're going to move some stuff around. This is all I want you to do. We're not going to change the price. I just want you to move stuff around. All right, this thing's a puzzle. I want you to put these 3 puzzles at the top of the column. Right, the stuff that's your plow horses that people already like already, and we're going to bury them in the middle. And then the stuff is also kind of your really high, good profitable stuff like your more puzzles. We're going to put them at the bottom of the column. All right, dogs come off the menu. No one likes them. No one buys them, and they don't make any money. I will tell you without a shadow of a doubt, 90% of the dogs on your menu are the things you like as an owner. So I always say, you got to put your ego away.
Yeah, those are for you.
It's about you. That's like, oh, I love that item. I can't take that off. Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just easy saying, yeah, take it off.
I think the other thing is people's menus are always way too big.
Way too big.
Yeah,
way
so if
too
you can
big.
take those dogs off, and that's probably
easy.
at least like 30 or 20% of the menu.
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
huge.
Yeah. If you just eliminate those things, you're taking money off the shelves. You're making it easier for your staff to execute. Your training is easier. All these things. It has like a rippling effect.
Yeah.
And like you can't be. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the businesses that I've profiled on the show is that the ones that do really well, who have the best margins, do a few things really well.
That's it.
These are your Chick-fil-A's of the world. And they put all of their energy into making amazing Chick-fil-A's as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And it's throughput, and we're just taking all that energy into doing one thing.
Great.
And marketing it and owning the market for it. And if you can find holes in markets and just fill that hole with a trendy thing and just do that one thing really well,
You'll dominate.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to interrupt today's episode to let you know that Restaurant Unstoppable and Restaurant Systems Pro are taking their relationship to the next level. CEO of Restaurant Systems Pro, Fred Langley, is making himself available once a week in Restaurant Unstoppable Network to answer all of your questions. Here's the thing, I don't want to be a coach, I don't want to be a consultant, but I know the best in the industry, and Fred Langley is the best. He has consistently taken his clients and increased their profit by 10%, and he can help you do the same thing. All you gotta do is click the link below and join a live session in Facebook.
cool.
Let me give you one more thing, one more little gold nugget about marketing. And once you have your stratifications, you know what your stars, your puzzles, and your workhorses is. Please never ever market your workhorses. That's the stuff that's already popular, but it's not profitable. Why? It doesn't need help, and I also want to make it more popular.
Yeah.
Doesn't make money now. Why would I kill my margins by pushing out the stuff that doesn't make me any money?
So you're all stars.
Yeah. So I always push my stars and my puzzles. Always go on your social media. Anytime you're marketing stuff, always your stars and your puzzles. Never your plow horses or workhorses.
Got it. Great stuff. This has been fun. So we still have about 42 minutes. You said
Nice.
3:30.
Yeah.
We're doing good on time,
We're
so
doing
I can get
great.
a lot out of you, man. This has been gold so far. So we covered the first 3 books.
Okay.
Your restaurant sucks.
Yep.
Your restaurant still sucks. Your restaurant culture sucks.
Yep.
Then you have the Savage Restaurant Success, which goes over the framework within frameworks.
Savage Restaurant Success is a new model for coaching.
Okay.
Right. So up until
Sorry.
now, the Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy basically encompasses the TRC method.
Okay, TRC,
Right.
which is your culture sucks.
And so lately too. And I have different coaching programs. I have like a mastermind group. I have a restaurant mastermind group, and I have a restaurant accelerator program, which is like my one-on-one, higher end coaching program that takes people through that people product processing. I take them through there's 95 modules that take them through the mindset, the culture, the hiring, the food cost, the menu. There's also marketing. There's also systems. There's also strategy. There's also profitability. I have 95 modules. Takes them a little bit of time to go through it.
Yeah.
All right. That's the accelerator program. That takes them down the rabbit hole. It's really give them a lot of tools. 90-something hours, 380 downloads, everything they need to basically go from where they are to where they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. What you're talking about right now is exactly why I didn't want to be a restaurant coach. Because I'm like, why? I have noted. So I went live and I talked about desire. I was like, there's the things you're supposed to do, but also if you don't have the desire to do that stuff, then why do it? There's so many people I know in my network that I know are doing amazing work, And what I want to do is help those people connect with more people. I want to help good people connect with good people.
That's
And not everyone's going to be right for Donald Burns.
That's right.
And I want to spend time getting to know people and say, well, who's right for you?
Yeah.
And then play matchmaker and help my listeners connect with the people out there. But like, why would I want to go and do all that work that you've done when I could just help you connect with those
Oh,
people?
it took me 14 years to get that system refined.
Right. I don't have any desire to do that. I'm like a speedboat on the top of the water. I have ADHD. I don't have the patience to sit on the phone calls all day with people. That's for me. Like, I'm literally like looking out the window at the birds like 30 minutes in a phone call. Like, I'm like, what's next? So anyway, like hearing this stuff gets me excited because I think, I want to create the awareness, so that's the fourth book is going over those.
So the first 3 books, Your Restaurant Sucks, Your Restaurant Still Sucks, Your Restaurant Culture Sucks, TRC Method, right? It basically talks, like even in the 3rd book, I talk about the Accelerator Program. So the Accelerator Program is, again, I got it down to a science, really, really good. So I know also, like you, to grow my brand, to scale my brand, I need to be able to replicate myself. So I've been lately, in the last year, I've been really focused on, I've been bringing in people, selecting, interviewing them, taking people, and I actually put them through a certified restaurant coaching program where they learn how to coach the Restaurant Accelerator Program. And I just recently partnered up with a marketing company, really well known in the digital space for restaurants. They were formerly known as SkyTel. Now it's called Restaurant Growth. Right, and so Restaurant Growth and I partnered up, and they're going to be offering my Accelerator program. I don't do the Accelerator program anymore, so I'll be offering the Accelerator program. So you still get all the modules that I taught, everything, all the frameworks, all the tools, everything you get. But you also get coached now with some of my certified restaurant coaches, my CRCs.
This model reminds me of EOS. Are you familiar with EOS?
Yep.
I love EOS.
Actually, I wrote a little because I have a lot of clients doing EOS. I actually have an ebook, a really small one. It's like 30 pages about how the EOS and the TRC method work well together.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It really works well.
I'd love to maybe do a follow-up with that. Maybe we can go live and talk about that.
That'd be cool.
But so like what EOS did is that you have like your integrators.
Right.
So those are the people who help you on board with EOS. Right. So you're basically, they're given the tools, they understand the EOS, the entrepreneurial operating model. Mm-hmm. So what you basically created is the restaurateur operating model.
Yes.
And then you're teaching coaches how to teach this model.
My program, yeah. So each of my coaching programs has like a different kind of avatar, a different kind of market that we're looking at. So let's say you're doing less than $750,000 in years of sales. You want to jump into my Restaurant Masterminds program. That'll help you get your sales up above $750,000. Now, let's say you're at $750,000, doing a little over $1 million, but your profit's not really good. You're below 12% profit. You want to jump in the Accelerator program because that's going to get your profit up. And I'll give you a 3-step tip on how I get people's profit up. Ready? Right? Most restaurants, average restaurant in the United States, 5% profit. True?
I would say less.
Yeah, well, actually, the National Restaurant Association last year said it's only 4% now because of inflation. So let's say you start at 5%.
Yeah.
So most restaurant clients who come to me for the Accelerator program at 5% profit. Just by doing the people part first. Now, the people part, which is mindset, culture, and hiring, doesn't really move the needle too much. But when we get into the product part, we're going to dig in your food cost, especially that theoretical, actual food cost gap. Because every month, I swear to God, I'll have someone call me and say, hey, Donald, my food cost is 30%. Is that good? And I'll say, I don't know. They'll say, what do you mean you don't know? Aren't you the restaurant coach? I go, yeah, but let me ask you one question. What's your theoretical? And they go, I don't know. I go, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because if your theoretical is 28, 30% food cost is pretty good.
Yeah.
But if your theoretical is 21, you got some money you're leaving on the table. The average restaurant, Eric, leaves 9% on the table between theoretical and actual.
And this is the cool thing about operations that also do a few things really well is they theoretically have a low theoretical food cost because they don't have all their product on shelves.
Yeah. So you want to narrow that gap between theoretical and actual. So in our Accelerator program, we have a food cost boot camp. It's 9 modules that'll take you down that rabbit hole of understanding my theoretical and actual food cost gap, closing the variance between the two. After you get that, I'll tell you right now, proven with 2,800 restaurants and counting, 5% added to your bottom line just by doing the food cost boot camp, right? So now you went from 5 to 10%. Now we're going to take that theoretical food cost. Now we understand what's really profitable in our menu. Now we're going to go back and take that menu apart, use that psychology stuff we use, but also using the data that we have. Now we're going to put together a profitable menu, which is going to add another 3% to the bottom line. So now you're at 13.
Yeah.
Now that I got a very highly profitable menu, now I'm going to open the floodgates up to marketing and add another 2%.
Yeah.
So you went from 5 to 10 to 13 to 15 just in the product part. Now when we get to 15%, now I need to protect that and really grow that profit to a high level. So in the process part, we're going to go into systems. We're going to give you accountability systems. So now your team has systems, but they're accountable and they do the systems. Then we're going to get into strategic planning. We call it strat maps. I'm going to give you a year plan, a quarterly plan, a monthly plan, a weekly plan. I'm going to hold you accountable to the monthly and weekly plan. Right? And then in the profitability, you have a profit clinic, which is going to show you how to get to that 18% higher profitability.
I'm starting to see how this plays well with EOS because now
Yeah,
you're
it
giving
works
them
super. Yeah.
You're giving them the what's it called, the scorecard.
Yep,
And you're
scorecard,
giving
that's
them
what we
the
do.
framework
Yep.
for the weekly meetings, basically.
The average member in my accelerator program does 19.8% profit.
Wow,
They
that's
kill
a great
they
average.
kill
And
the
I'm sure you
market.
have people that are like close to 30.
Oh, I have actually some people in the 40s.
Oh wow, that's awesome. One thing I'm curious about: how does this work with software? Does your system like play well with softwares?
Oh yeah. Like Restaurant Systems Pro.
Well, that's what I was
A lot of
thinking.
my clients use Restaurant Systems Pro because those things give them tools and stuff. Like I'm a big believer in using software. Like for food costing, you need a food costing software. You need like Restaurant Systems Pro. I like GetMe's. Margins Edge is great. There's tons of great programs out here. Here's the thing I get all the time.
I want to say something, bro.
Go ahead, please.
You're making me so happy right now because you just listed my 3 sponsors.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, and
I love all 3 of them. They're
they
all
are
amazing.
some, dude, and
They're all amazing.
I think just because it was like that was very serendipitous. I'm at this point right now where I love the companies I'm working with and promoting, and my biggest fear is having to promote companies I don't love.
Yeah. Those are the
And-
3 I promote all the time.
Yeah, and I think they all kind of complement each
They do
other too.
complement each other.
So I say like, not everybody's going to be perfect for every product that
That's
I
right.
recommend. But I feel like in my mind, you fall into two schools of thought. You like to play the app game where
Yep.
you chase the best, latest, and greatest technology.
Which is stupid.
Yeah, but
Because they always here's the thing, they never give it a chance. It's like the old joke. How many diets does it take to lose weight? 1.
right,
The one you stick with.
right.
How many software programs do you need? 1. The one that you're going to actually fucking use. And this is
Yeah.
why I hate the National Restaurant Show. I love the National Restaurant Association. The
I was
National
gonna ask you
Restaurant
why
Show.
you're not there.
Yeah,
it's
because
happening as we're recording.
I know.
this.
It's, why? Because it is just that shiny object thing
Guess
for
who's
restaurant
also
owners.
not there?
Who?
Me.
And you're not there either. I know you're here with me. I know. Sorry.
They
So
asked
anyway.
me to, I don't know.
So-
But I want to talk shit.
I know, but anyway, so the owners go to this restaurant association, the National Restaurant Show. It's a great show, by the way. I will say it is a great show.
It is a
But
lot.
the problem is, it's so much stuff, and then owners have ADD, big time.
Right.
And then they see all this shiny stuff, and they get this
FOMO.
the FOMO. They get this they buy all these new softwares, new sign up for all these new things. They roll them back to their team and give them a bunch of shit to roll out,
Yeah.
and they don't. And they're like, fuck, It's just
I'll
too
go on
much.
record. One of the reasons why I'm not at the show is because I know too much. They charge so much money for those vendors to go
it's
there.
crazy.
Over $100,000 to
crazy.
show up
Yeah.
to
Just
be
to
on
show
the
up.
floor there. And the other reason is I'm sorry, I don't think the National Restaurant Association shows up for the people that I serve.
They don't.
They exist for the Yum Brands of the world and the McDonald's of the world. And I'm trying to intentionally take business from those people
Yeah.
and to spread out the wealth.
Exactly.
So that's my reason for not being
Yeah.
there. Anyway,
I don't go
wanna
there.
speak for
Yeah,
you.
I don't go there because I just feel it's it's just a big distraction for me.
Right.
My business is at the point now where I just want to focus on doing what I do best, and that's coaching people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and you're saying like this morning I was on coaching calls all morning, and then I left at 1, got here, now we're doing this. I got
I don't know how you do it, man. And you
love
have a
it.
special skill. Yeah. And
I fucking
I mean,
love
you have
it.
that's awesome. And
Yeah.
I wish I did because I could probably I have this great podcast that I could funnel people to my coaching program. But
You
I
do have a great funnel.
Thank you very much. But I just love to go have the conversations I'm curious. I'm
Yeah, you are
constantly
curious.
just.
That's what I love about you.
Thank you very much. So anyway, the reason why I asked the software question is because as you were going through this, and you're familiar with Restaurant Systems Pro, didn't
Oh, yeah,
you?
yeah.
I think I mentioned Fred that I was talking to you, and he said, "Oh yeah, like he went through and he went through our program." So you talking about the theoretical cost and that kind of stuff.
Those guys are great at what they do.
So what I love, and I think there's a lot of synergy even with what you're doing and what they're doing, because you teach a lot of the foundational stuff, but then what you get with the software is literally the checklist for the restaurant
Yeah.
owner, the framing that
I
and have all
always say what I do as a coach is I teach habits.
yeah. But to have the software to back it up.
Yeah, but once you gotta get the habits, so if you work with me and get the habits integrated and instilled in you, and you actually use them, then it becomes routine, and then you actually will use the software.
Yes, and
Yeah.
like Fred and his team do the coaching too, but they're moving away from the coaching and they're trying to be more of a software company.
Yeah,
And to find the synergies of having the coach who knows the software and the systems and can give you the foundation, or the reoccurring coaching, and then you have the framework on top of that, the software framework.
Yeah.
So you're giving them the framework and the systems, but am I pushing here?
No,
or is
no,
it-
you're right. No,
is
I
it-
give you the mindset, the habits, and the framework, and then they have the software that's going to actually hold you accountable and also give you the data you need to make changes in implementation.
Yeah.
Which is perfect.
And I'm saying
And I don't want to
Restaurant
be a
System Pro-
software guy.
Yeah,
that's
right.
not me.
So again, there's a lot of what was if you learn how to find the lanes, stay in the lanes, and I think lanes isn't just like it's not 2 dimensions. It's not. I would say it's like 4 dimensions.
It is 4
You
dimensions,
know,
yes.
it's like there's lanes in all these. It's not just in who you're working with in your 4 walls, but it's the people beyond your 4 walls that you're
Exactly.
working with.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And finding all those people to be in the lanes, just you go so much further together.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So, the new book, Savage Restaurant Success, is about. So, I built this accelerator program up.
dude, it's fucking raving here right now, isn't it?
It's like a rave, dude. It's like
Yeah.
crazy. It's killing it. I'm ready to break out the glow
Hopefully-
sticks. I'm ready to glow sticks.
Special thanks to the mission.
I know, yeah. So, Savage Restaurant Success is talking about what I've seen. So, again, you always talk about how the evolution of my books. So, evolution of my books, Your Restaurant Sucks, Mindset, Tools and Habits, and Your Restaurant Still Sucks, Culture, which is really the driving force of success in restaurants, that last book in Your Restaurant Sucks trilogy. And then I realized there was some stuff missing. So, again, I have different programs available for different people. If your restaurant's not doing the sales you want, I have a restaurant mastermind group. That's perfect for people trying to get their sales up. Now, if your restaurant's doing some sales, but you don't have the profitability, you want the accelerator program because you're not going to be comfortable until you get to around 12% profit. Now, let's say your restaurant is doing well, right, and you're doing that 12, 15% profit, but you feel there's something missing. This is where I found myself, too, after I got my restaurants really, really successful, is I found myself, again, working at the restaurant, but neglecting the other areas. So Savage Restaurant Success is a blend of 2 methodologies. It's the TRC method, which I teach all my coaching programs have TRC method, but it also blends what's known as the Warrior's Way. The Warrior's Way is a mastermind group I belong to out in Dana Point. It's a Wake Up Warrior. And they teach what they call as their framework is called the Core 4. It's body, being, balance, business. So with Savage Restaurant Success, it introduces my new program for those restaurant owners that feel like, hey, my restaurant's doing good, but man, my life doesn't seem like I don't have the purpose, I don't have the drive. I feel like something's missing. Warrior Restaurants is for that.
So it's like the personal growth.
It's the personal growth.
It's the you.
But
Yeah.
we're going to focus on all 4 domains. And not just about your business. We're going to focus on your body. We're going to talk about fitness and fuel. We're going to talk about your being, your connection to your higher power. Also, just like, getting that shit out of your head and getting some journaling going, getting some mindset stuff going.
Is that being?
That's
Or is
being.
that, okay.
Right? And then balance is about relationships. Because how many people have damaged marriages from their
Right.
restaurant business or damaged relationships with their kids, we talked about
Right.
before. And then we're going to talk about business, but now we're going to talk about business in a different sense, not in the sense of growing your profits, but growing your wealth.
Yeah.
How do we take that money that we're making? Because people that are in Warrior, they're usually doing over, usually average is 1.5 million, but they're doing 15% profit or higher. And those people want a little bit more, I feel I need to get my body, my being, and my balance. Need to get everything kind of going in the same direction. So that's why Warrior Restaurants is my new program I started rolling. And that's why I partnered up with Restaurant Growth, formerly SkyTel, to start taking over the accelerator stuff as far as I got those restaurant coaches now that teach that can coach that program. I still do the group calls every week with everybody on that.
How much does it cost to be a coach to teach your stuff?
How much does it cost to be a coach? I'd rather not say.
Well, I mean, what if somebody's listening to this and they want to?
They can reach out to me and ask me.
Tell me off air.
It's a license agreement, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's the EOS models. If you want to become an integrator,
Yeah, it's a
like
license
you-
agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I was giving you an opportunity to pitch. Sorry.
Yeah. You can reach out to me if you're interested. Now, here's my only caveat: if you want to be a certified restaurant coach, you have to have been a restaurant owner.
Okay.
I will not certify anybody who's never been a restaurant owner, because I think that if you want to be a restaurant coach, certified restaurant coach in my brand, you have to have the experience and know the stress and trauma
Yeah.
of being a restaurant owner. So I won't certify anybody if you haven't been a restaurant owner.
Yeah. Good thing I don't want to be a restaurant coach. So,
But I get people all the time, like, because they see like me promoting some of my certified restaurant coaches. And it's like, oh, I'd love to be a restaurant coach. Have you owned a restaurant? No, I've been a server. All right, that's great. But you know, hey, I could teach you how to set yourself up as a service coach. You can't be a certified restaurant coach. I could teach you how to be a coach in your niche. You know, like I have people that have bartending stuff, and they reach out to me all the time. Hey, and I have this thing called a Restaurant Expert Academy. A Restaurant Expert Academy, I'll teach you how to set up your brand to be an expert in that niche, and you can coach on your niche, but you're not going to be a certified restaurant coach if you had never owned a restaurant. That's
got it. So have we unpackaged? Where are we? Current time? Are we
Current
here
time,
today?
right now, yeah. And then the new book's coming out next month.
Good timing because this book. I think this episode will be live like the first week of July.
Oh yeah,
last
so
week
the
of
new
June.
book will be out. So yeah, so this is the latest book, Savage Restaurant 6. New book's coming out in June. It's going to be called Ingredients.
Okay.
It's actually going to have a really cool program built into it. Total restaurant success in 90 days.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what I would like to talk about with our time left together, we had about 25 minutes.
Sure.
To talk about where are we going.
Oh.
So we've shared your story over the past the past 8 years since we last connected. It's crazy to think it's been 8
I know,
years,
dude, huh?
7 years. Where is the industry today, and where are we going? I think in your book you mentioned, I can't remember which one it was, that there's a storm coming.
There is a storm coming.
Has the storm gotten here yet? in your
Oh, it's
opinion?
coming really bad. I mean, look at all the bankruptcies going on this year.
Right, but I mean, I think that you thought the storm was going to be here sooner. Is that safe
Well,
to say?
yeah. Well, so I did predict that the storm was going to hit, and then COVID hit.
Right.
And then
Different storm.
The storm hit
You're
hard.
expecting a
That
thunderstorm.
storm wiped
We got
out a lot
we
of
got
people.
a hailstorm.
But just like anything, I mean, we're building back up. And so, again, the problem with the restaurant industry, and not really a problem, it's kind of a curse, is that there's no entry level, just you got to have money. I mean, like if you want to become a doctor, you got to get a doctor. You know, you got to go to school, get a degree, you got to take some boards, right? You got to get a license.
Yeah, say that line again. You have the money? Is that?
The only thing that qualifies to open a restaurant nowadays, you got to have money.
Yeah, I would argue that what's cool with the world we live in, because it's so much more digitized,
Mm-hmm.
and the restaurant industry is starting to get away from like the standard model.
Yeah.
And we're starting to think outside the box and think more like entrepreneurs,
Right.
and thinking about how can we use these different business models to sell food and to create community.
Mm-hmm.
People are starting their businesses with like 100,000 or like 50,000, and they're doing pop-ups. And
Yeah.
so I think that like. Again,
I've seen very few pop-ups translate into profitable.
right,
brick and
but I
mortar.
think at the same time, to your point that you made earlier, it's about framing and mindset.
Yeah,
Right?
Because
So,
to
like-
run a pop-up only takes a few people.
Well, what people tell themselves, I need $1 million to open a restaurant.
No, you don't need $1 million.
You need to start.
I opened my first restaurant for $60,000, dude.
Yeah, but like I think it's the definition of what a restaurant is.
Yeah.
So are you developing a brand? Are you feeding people?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need a brick and mortar to start.
No, you
So
don't.
just start where you are. Start your restaurant today and start where you can, and then swing into it full time over time.
Yes.
I think is what I like to tell people.
Yeah, a lot of people like to, and I do recommend like the food hall model to start with.
Yeah.
Because it's a good entry port, especially if you get with a good food hall. Now, I'll be honest, there's some good food hall operators out there and some bad food hall operators, and I've seen both.
Yeah.
All right.
What makes a good one?
A good one is someone who is actually invested in the operator and actually gives them tools, resources.
More like an incubator.
Yeah, that's the exact model. There's a great one in Denver that does that. They're like a business
I'm headed to
incubator.
Denver. What's it called?
Oh, I can't remember the name. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, but there's like an incubator. You're allowed to stay only a year. And they have classes on entrepreneurship, they have classes on business, they have classes on finance. It's a really, really powerful food hall place. And I've seen places that just are really just like they're just landlords and tenants, and they want their rent, and they don't give a shit if you make it or not. And if you don't make it, they'll kick you out and put in somebody else. And they'll
Is it
jack up the rent.
Kamal Heritage Food Incubator?
It's a different name.
Is it in?
It's outside of town, outside of Denver.
Is it north in what's that town that's north of where the college is? The super bougie town that's north. Yeah.
I can't remember. I'm going to Denver in July. Actually, I'm
Oh,
speaking.
we're
at
gonna
a
be there
food
at the same
conference.
time.
I'll be in July.
Nice.
I'm speaking at a conference there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Boulder. Is it in Boulder?
No, it's not in Boulder.
Okay.
It's outside of Denver.
Okay.
It's one of
Sorry.
the suburbs of Denver.
Let's abandon this school of thought. So back to what's a good incubator. So it's
So a good incubator is someone who has like they invest in teaching people about entrepreneurship.
got it.
Right. A bad one is someone who just is your landlord and takes your rent money and doesn't help you out.
Yeah.
And doesn't promote stuff. So I think a food hall should promote the food hall.
Right.
It should market the food hall. I've had a couple of restaurant owners that are in my coaching program that got into a bad deal with food halls that, and they talk a good game. They're going to promote the place, and then nothing happens,
Right.
and they don't promote the place, and then you're left sitting there trying to market the place and market all the other people that are in your food hall with you, and it doesn't work.
So we got down this rabbit hole because you were saying like that money was a limitation to opening a restaurant today.
It's not a limitation.
All you need is money. is
You
what
just need
said.
money to open a restaurant. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how much money.
And then we got into like that whole thing. So
Yeah.
what was that school of thought when you were saying money is a limitation?
Well, money is not a limitation. It's the only qualifier to open a restaurant.
So where were
You don't have to have a degree to open
Yeah.
a restaurant. You don't have to go into culinary school.
So where were you going with that train of thought? Do you remember?
It's just that most restaurants, the problem with the restaurant industry is that there's a low entry point.
The
You
problem
don't need
with the-
qualifications to open a restaurant. You have to have a degree to be a doctor. You have to have a degree to be a lawyer. You have to have like licensing to be insurance.
So it's
but you
interesting
don't
that
have to
framed
do
it like
anything.
that. The problem with the industry, because one of the questions I ask my guests is like, where are we today, and what's broken with the industry?
That's
and
it.
How do we fix it?
Yeah, well, we're coaching. You need to have someone who has a process map who can teach you how. It's the same problem I had when I opened my first restaurant. I knew how to run a restaurant. I didn't know how to build a brand.
In the time that you've been coaching, would you say that there has been a transformation in the industry where more people know
No.
more today than why not?
No, because they're still stuck in their own mindsets.
Oh, okay.
It's all because
Because there's more resources than
there's
ever
tons of
before.
resources, but that doesn't mean they're going to use the resources.
That's fair.
You know?
Who are you going to tell me what to do with my business?
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Ego, pride, and denial kills more restaurants than anything.
Yeah. So how do we overcome that?
It's just about like stuff like your podcast, getting people to understand, like, wake up.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you just got to wake up. And the number one thing we talk about in Savage Restaurant Success is like, stop fucking lying to yourself.
Yeah. I
You know?
think. And what? Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think of my parents.
Yeah.
So my parents who opened a restaurant in 1989 where there were no resources,
Yeah.
and they were just copying what the people down the street were doing in terms of like pricing and all that stuff. Is there still lights on these cameras? I meant to check them a while ago. I should probably after the statement. Yeah, they were just copying what, like, they didn't know the
Yeah.
first thing about prime costs or anything.
Yeah,
they,
yeah.
they were a people dependent operation. If they weren't there, it didn't run, and they weren't
Mm-hmm.
making money even then.
So here's the thing I'll tell you about resources and knowledge. I wrote 4 books now, 4
Yeah.
big books, right? Over 30
40 hours or
40
something?
hours of fucking audio, right?
I thought I was going to be able to power through.
Yeah, here's the thing I'll tell you about this. A lot of people read my books, but they don't, and that's why coaching is so powerful. If we want to change, and that's one of the reasons I decided to certify restaurant coaches. I need more help. I need people who can help me hold people accountable. The 2 things that you need is you need accountability and you need discipline. And those things are hard to develop unless you have someone who knows how to help you, understands the psychological game. I mean, I went through pararescue. A lot of people think, like, what did it take to get through pararescue? Discipline
Yeah.
and mindset. It wasn't the biggest guys. I would tell you right now, from like, we started with like 83 guys in my pararescue class. 11 of us graduated.
Wow.
And that was, and a lot of people say, well, what, can you tell just by looking at people? No. I mean, the guys that were like really big, huge built guys, I mean, they were like killers. And I had guys who could run like crazy, but they couldn't swim. And then you got guys who get in the pool and like, just like, it's all about mindset and discipline, just doing shit you don't want to do. That's what that's what you hire a coach for. People don't hire me. I'll give you tools. You hire me for accountability.
Yeah.
That's what you hire a coach for.
Yeah.
I have 6 coaches still to this day.
I mean, I'm not making the argument. Like, I see there's definitely a place. I mean, I have a coach to help me build out ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
Because I'm good at like finding people, but where my struggle is right now is helping my listeners connect with the tools, and I want to get more intentional about. And over 1,000 episodes, these are the patterns I've seen, and how can I help my listeners connect with the tools they need. But one of the things I want to talk to you about, like going into the future, so we've identified the solution to that problem is by coaching. By convincing owners that they need. If you're taking out $1 million to open a restaurant, what's
You need to protect your
What's
investment.
$1,050,000?
Yeah, you need to protect your investment.
Like,
you need to protect your investment.
Get the money to get the coaching.
Yeah,
and the software.
The thing I will tell you right now, and all my coaching clients will verify this, coaching pays for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never had a coaching client ever say it wasn't a worthwhile investment, and I haven't at least 100x their investment in me.
So anything else that you think, if we're going into the future more intentionally, what else has to change? Like macro scale. Like,
We just got to treat people better.
so what is that like? You talked a lot about Gen Z in your millennials
Mm-hmm.
in your earlier books, but I think you actually mentioned Gen Z.
Gen Z is like the new one, yeah.
Yeah. So like, how do we treat people better? What does that look like?
So many restaurant owners, there's a couple different things that we focus on as restaurant owners. Restaurant owners tend to focus on what we call as the GX, the guest experience. They're very, very self-driven about the guest experience. We need to focus more, if we want to like change the industry overall, we need to focus more on the TX, the team experience. Here's a great example. If I walked up to anyone on this team right here, I'll bet you $1,000 if I asked the server, who do you work for? He'll say the manager. If I ask the manager, who do you work for? He'll say the owner. Hashtag write this shit down. Culture flows down, it doesn't flow up. This is the broken business. I call this this is called the ecology of culture. The ecology of culture is that the way it's supposed to flow and the way it does flow is totally fucked up and backwards. And in that sense is that I ask an owner, who do you work for? Oh, no one. I work for myself. I'm the owner.
No, you work for all of your employees.
Right. And I asked the general manager, who do you work for? Well, I work for the owner. I asked the service team, who do you work for? I work for the general manager. No, you should always work for the person underneath you. The owner works for their team. The general manager works for their team. The team works for the guest.
Yeah, and I always say, I'm happy you're saying this because I say your job as a restaurant owner, and this is actually a line from Rudy Mick. I'm sure you know Rudy, right?
Yeah.
So your job as a restaurant owner is to paint the picture of perfection of what the job done right looks like, and to give the people the tools and the resources to execute on their job.
I would say, where
does the owner go to get that?
That's where they come to coaching.
Yeah, and I think that's also like what I'm trying to do too, is I'm trying to give them an example of all these different restaurateurs across the country, and I'm trying to paint that picture of like, this is what it done right looks like.
That's
from multiple different perspectives.
That's one of the rules for my coaching program too, is the owner has to be involved in the program.
Yeah.
I'll have owners call me and say, hey, I'd love to sign up for your coaching program, but I just want you to fix Fred, fix my general manager. So it doesn't work like that.
I'm just going to come out and be direct. So I know you're a huge advocate of social media, and I'm not here to argue as somebody who has a global product, I understand the significance of social media. Yeah. There are some people that believe, I actually had Adam Gould on the show, the founder of Owner.com. Have you done any look into Owner.com? But he made this argument that social media, while you should be on social media, isn't the most important thing in terms of where you put your focus on marketing. His rationality was SEO, your website, all these things, Google.
I would argue.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know because I read your books that you're heavy on the social media.
I'm heavy on social because why? It's not so much social. It's the medium that we use. So posting boring shit on your social media is fucking useless, right? And waste of your time.
What's boring shit?
Like a picture of your fucking tacos.
Okay.
Fucking boring shit. No one, nice fucking tacos, dude. Big deal. All right. Tell me a story. One of the things I teach all my clients is this. Everything has a story.
Yeah.
That taco plate has a story, how you developed it. That salsa, that tomatillo salsa that's gluten-free has a story behind it. Those chips, everything has a story. Every person who works in your restaurant has a story. Every guest has a story. Every building has a story. Your job as the owner is to tell the story. And if you tell more stories, storytelling is the most compelling thing you can do on social media. And that's where we need to be. And I would tell people, it's like, you want to get on YouTube. Yeah. I mean, you want to have a YouTube channel and you want to tell your story.
That's what I'm actually focusing on right now, is becoming a YouTuber who has a podcast, because I think that being in these spaces, having these cameras, the challenge is that I just got to figure out how to use these damn things for more than a standstill interview. They're so complicated. And the editing on the back
end. Dude, they look
like,
complicated.
They look cool, right?
Yeah, they look really cool. It's like a nice setup. Shit.
Thank you. I think the big argument that he was making is that social media is engineered for global brands with a global market.
No.
And restaurant owners have local markets.
No.
What's your I'm neutral. I'm just trying to.
I don't think so, because you can target market. So you want to hear my down and dirty take on restaurant marketing 101?
I mean, we have 10 minutes left, and I still want to get other topics out of you.
All right, I'll give you a down and dirty. So every restaurant should be running three different campaigns all the time. You should have an awareness video, and probably hands down the best awareness video I've ever seen in my life is Fox Restaurant Concepts, based out of here in Phoenix. They have a beautiful awareness video. Talks about, we're Fox Restaurant Concepts, and we are about a boom, 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 and they have these beautiful pictures of their team, people having fun, people carrying their food. It's a very, very visual brand about awareness. Like, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is why we do it. tells that story. Goes back to that Simon Sinek, start with why. Why do you do what you do? People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Right.
If people start telling more stories about why they do what they do, your stories are going to resonate with more people. So you should always have an awareness campaign. So let's just say like Phoenix. So I would have, if I had a client in Phoenix, I would say you're going to run an awareness campaign to about, probably a couple miles outside of Phoenix, about 20, 40 miles, people that are driving in the area, just awareness, just to make them aware of who you are, right? You're going to run some geofencing ads too. Geofencing is going to be really, really targeted to like where people shop at. Like we're in Kierland Commons, very, very popular place. Like these guys should market this whole shopping center. I would put a geofence around it. Anybody who's in this market, in this shopping mall, should just like automatically see an ad from the mission.
Yeah.
And then after that, then I want a retargeting ads. Retargeting ads for people who watch my awareness video or a geofencing ad, and I ask them to come back for a specific call to action. You got to understand how funnels work. Cold audience, warm audience, hot audience, right? So many people are trying to they're sending out stuff, they're putting it their social media to a warm audience, it should be for a warm audience to a cold audience.
Yeah, they're trying to get it in on the first date.
It's like going on a date with somebody the first time and go, marry me.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the hell? You're fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to come down and have fucking tacos yet. I don't even know who the fuck you are.
Right. So I've accepted, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of doing social media. I don't enjoy it. When I do social media, it's just like, I have to fucking do this. Like, but I also don't like cleaning toilets. I still do that.
Yeah.
That's how I look at social media. It's a toilet.
It's a necessary, yeah. But again, I mean, you can, and here's the thing, man, you can outsource so much of it nowadays.
Well, my goal is as soon as I can, I am shedding that responsibility.
I outsourced my social media this year. It was the game changer for me. I outsourced my social media to a VA.
I was gonna say, are you using AI for social media?
No, I have a VA who does it.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you use filters on some of your videos? Because unless you're wearing makeup, you look so good in some of those videos.
No, it's just lighting. I have really good lighting.
Nice.
I turn the lights up higher.
So the one
I have high lights on my stuff.
So I think the one issue I have with social media, and this is like, I feel like we're so close to it. Like, I'm not arguing to the points that you made, but I think that I think we as society are very short focused or short sighted.
And that's why you have to have frequency.
Well, I think it's a problem that you're right, I guess is what I'm saying. The fact that you're right, I think is a problem. I think that it's a problem that how many companies are responsible for how much of the marketing in the world? You got Facebook, which owns Instagram.
Yeah.
You got Google, which owns YouTube. And you got TikTok, which is owned by fucking China, which is terrifying. And they control. And I think my big concern is that we're living in this world where we're all consumed by fear of we're consumed by just distractions, short form content. We're told that short form content is what we have to create and what we need to do, which is right in terms of like if you're actually looking at the data. But as somebody who is a human who's passionate about human psychology, human evolution, the psychology of us, do you think that these things are good for society and mental health?
Not when they use it as a sedation and distraction.
But that's what everybody teaches.
That's
what we're teaching. So like for me it's just morals. It's just like, how can we do this? And right now, if you don't do it, you're up shit's creek. So it's just very hard. Like, what the fuck do we do? Do we teach what works? Which is, it's like saying, hey, if you want to have a good time, go drink this 30 rack. But what's the end game of that?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I mean, what are you contributing or are you distracting on social media? That's the biggest thing I would say. So are you telling stories that enrich people's lives? You're talking about the food, talking about health, you're talking about the organic, you talk about sourcing, stuff like that, using local ingredients, using local farms, you're using stuff that's actually going to promote your market, or you're just like, look at me.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, come on, Kylie Jenner, Jesus, dude.
And that's how I try to rationalize it. If you look at all or any of my messages on social media, it's a positive message.
It's a positive message, and that's the thing I would say. We need more positive messages.
Yeah.
Less distraction, less fluff, more substance, more stories.
Yeah, and I do believe so. My podcast, we're at an hour and a half, but I go over 2 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
And if I'm following the rules, I'm doing the wrong thing right now, because they say that you shouldn't go over a half hour or 45 minutes on a podcast.
Fuck the rules.
But I would argue that I think we live in a world where everyone's creating content for algorithms and not people anymore.
Yeah, we need to, that's where we need to focus back on.
Right.
Is focus back on the people. It doesn't matter. Fuck the rules. If you want to put out, you want to put out a 2-hour podcast, put out 2 hour.
But the shit. Yeah, and I think the other thing, just to take it a step further, is we have a whole society that's so geared on vanity metrics.
Yeah,
and
those suck.
Yeah, man. And like one of the reasons why I asked my guests, and I'm going to ask you this question, is who do you respect and admire? The reason why I'm living in a camper is so I can go into a community and talk to people and say, who's a good restaurant operator?
Yeah.
Who doesn't give a fuck about social media, but they're taking care of their employees and they're running tight ships? Those are the people I want to talk to.
But see,
I can't
here's
find
the
those
thing,
people on
but
social
I want
media.
to. That's what another thing I'm saying is that you got to tell the story. Those operators that really give a shit about their team need to market that because the restaurant has a horrible stigma.
Yeah.
We're gonna treat you like shit. We're gonna pay you dirt. You're gonna work fucking 15, 16 hours. You're never gonna see your fucking goldfish. Your goldfish are gonna die.
Right.
But there are restaurants out there, great operators that actually do give a shit.
Right.
Those people need to tell their stories and show that not all restaurants are the fucking scum of the earth.
Right.
That there are great people out there.
And there are some fucking scums of the earth that are
There are some
celebrated
scums of the
online
earth.
because they're good at social media.
And
I'm
that's,
like,
that's
fuck
the thing that drives me
this.
crazy too. Is I see
Yeah.
these guys that just
Yeah. So that's I think the reason why I have this like resistance against social media is because I started to learn about it. And when you start to learn about it, you go, "What are we? Whoa! Can we take a few steps back?" It's like being on the island of
You're like-
Manhattan.
you're
you don't
doing-
know you're on an island until you get in the airplane.
You're like the Bruce Lee quote. Before I studied the martial arts, I thought a punch was just a punch and a kick was just a kick.
Right.
Then I studied the martial arts, I understood that a punch is not a punch and a kick is not a kick.
Right.
And then once I really mastered the art, I understood a punch is just a punch and a kick is just a kick.
Well, I think my mission statement I try to echo is to change the world through inspiring, empowering, transforming the industry.
And that's what you're doing, man.
So I think as an industry, we tend to get really close to things, right? And I think if we're going to change the world, I'm trying to get people to take a step back and be like, how can we collectively, if we do things, we collectively can make change.
Yeah.
If we do it together, because all these companies that we mentioned rely on us. We are the product. So they have to kind of depend on
restaurants that I admire that I follow on social media that I think do a great job of promoting their culture and their team and their brand in a positive light. Roz, plant-based out of New York City.
Nice.
Great one. Bailey Seafood out of Buffalo is another great one. I also like Solu. Peter Scafani has Solu Restaurant in Baton
I've had
Rouge.
Peter on the show.
Peter is awesome. He is a great advocate of his team, his brand. Sonapa Grill out of Florida, Samira Beach. They have 3 locations. They are so incredible about promoting their story. They are huge on it.
I love it. I think we're pretty much done. I do ask all my guests a couple of questions before
Sure.
we officially wrap up. I know you got to get going. You got a meeting in 2 minutes.
Well, I just got to get back to my office.
Oh, okay. My notes are all over the place right now. Did I delete the? No, they're right here. What's one thing about your business, a value, a process, a system that makes you uncommon and truly unstoppable?
It's my TRC method. No one has the TRC method. No one has the content. No one has the tools. No one has the accountability coaches like I have. It's the fastest path to get you from where you want to be to where you want to go.
The mission statement is to inspire, empower, and transform the world by transforming the industry. How have you personally transformed? How are you better today than the man you were when you got started?
My philosophy in life has always been 1% improvement. The Japanese call it Kaizen. I want to be 1% better today than I was yesterday. Every time I do a coaching call, how could I be better? How could I be a better coach? And that's why I'm so into my own personal development. I have 6 different coaches because I don't. And there's another thing you should like. If you're ever looking at getting a coach, you should ask the coach if they have a coach.
Right.
If they don't, run.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe in coaching.
Right.
I have 6 different coaches. I have a business coach. I have an online coach. I have a fitness coach. I have a mindset coach. I have coaches for everything because I want to be a better person.
Yeah.
I believe this, and I say this in one of my books. Restaurants become better when the people in them become better people.
I love it, man.
And that starts with you becoming a better person.
Last question. I feel like you're about to echo a couple of things. If you got the news, you'd be leaving this world tomorrow. All the memories of you, your work, your restaurants, your businesses would be lost with your departure, with the exception of 3 pieces of wisdom to be your legacy. What would those 3 pieces of wisdom be?
3 pieces of wisdom is that culture flows down, doesn't flow up. It all starts with you.
1.
Right? Mindset is the game changer.
That was the big takeaway I got from the book, too. Is just
mindset
the power of now.
is the power of now. Mindset is the game changer. And 3, if you're going to aim aim for the top.
I love it, man. This has been a lot of fun. If we want to follow up or work with you, what's the best way to connect?
Donald at therestaurantcoach.com.
Beautiful. With 1 minute to spare, I'm a man of my word.
You are a man of your word.
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun, Donald. There is no questioning, my man. You are unstoppable.